Hello, my name is Brittany, and I'm one of the social workers here that'll be working with you.
Hi, Brittany. I'm Andrielle.
Okay, so just before we get started, I want to let you know that everything that's said during this session is confidential. It remains between you and I unless I feel that you are going to harm yourself or someone else. Does that sound okay?
Sounds perfect.
Okay, so what brings you in here today?
Well, I kind of just moved in with my boyfriend 2 months ago. We've been dating for about 2 years, but we've been having a lot of issues that's been causing me like a lot of anxiety.
Okay, so you mentioned that you guys just moved in. What made you guys decide to move in together?
It was basically just his decision. I don't think that I was ready for it. Maybe that's another reason why I've been feeling a lot of anxiety and stress lately. But I think it was just more of his idea, and he was really pushy towards moving in together, and I just wasn't ready. But now it's kind of too late because now we're stuck in a lease together for at least a year.
And what's like going on in those situations where you're starting to feel like your anxiety is kicking up? Is it like, or do you feel this all the time when you're around him?
I feel it about 60% of the time while I'm around him. I try not to. I try to like ignore it, but then sometimes he just does little things that bothers me. I think it's more of the little things that really get to me. And I don't know why, but it's like even if he comes home and takes out all the trash, washes the dishes, cleans the whole house, like I just get so angry and like my anxiety gets really bad. I start shaking and I don't know, I start fearing things. It's just really wild.
Okay, and did you ever have, like, before you guys moved in, did you ever feel this way when you were around him? Or, like, would you, like, ever get the anxiety to this point or get annoyed with him even if you were at his place or with him for a while?
We never really cohabitated before. So, like, I would spend the night for, like, a night, and then that would be it. But I never felt anxiety around him. I just started, like, when we moved in together. I noticed it a lot within, like, the last month. The first month, I thought it was just, like, okay, and I could handle it. But now it's, like, into month 2, and it's becoming really, really, really overwhelming.
Okay. And also, like, have you ever had, like, an experience before? Like, is this your first time ever living with a boyfriend, or have you had a serious relationship in the past?
No, I had a serious relationship in the past, and I did live with him. I lived with him for about 5 months, and then we had to break our lease because it was chaotic, and I felt really bad anxiety before with him, and a lot of stress. And then I ended up depressed after being with him.
Okay, and do you feel like, are the feelings you're having now similar to what you were experiencing during that relationship? Is it?
Yes, it is. But before me and my previous boyfriend, we were doing really, really well. And then all of a sudden, everything just kind of went downhill. And now it's like little things will bother me with this boyfriend, but they never bothered me until we moved in together.
Okay. And are, like, the behaviors similar? Like, is it when you feel the anxiety starting to come, is it when he does something that could have been similar to what your ex-boyfriend used to do, or is it just, does it seem to be random?
Well, I think that my ex-boyfriend used to, like, not do stuff in the house, and he would not take out the trash, or he would not wash the dishes, he wouldn't clean up, he wouldn't make the bed in the morning, and it was all kind of like my job, and I got used to doing those things. But then even though it was my job and I was used to doing those things, I still was like looked down upon, and I wasn't doing enough. I was never doing enough, and he just kind of always said negative things. Even though it's my job and I did it, I kind of was not enough.
And does your boyfriend now ever make you feel that way, or ever say similar situation, like saying that you weren't doing enough? Or
He does everything that my ex-boyfriend didn't do, and now I feel like he just doesn't think I can do anything. Like I'm not capable of doing anything in the house because he does it all. And then he's like, babe, I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that. And I'm like, okay, well, I can help. So I get anxiety when he does do stuff. But my ex-boyfriend never did anything and it gave me anxiety.
okay, so it seems that like what your fear, like what happened, what might be a issue is that you're fearing that what's going to happen in the past might happen again, and because you had that, so we're going to probably focus on this during the session, working with that anxiety and like acknowledging kind of what happened in the past and being aware of that, like what happened then seems to be affecting how you're feeling now. And because like you're not having the same issues, it looks like it's triggering similar responses. Does that sound about right?
Now that I think about it, yeah. Because sometimes when he takes out the trash, I get really angry at him for taking out the trash when I know that he can do it. But it was my job before, so it just makes me really angry even though I know that he can do it and I can do it too. But I just used to get kind of yelled at and stuff before for doing something that I was supposed to do, and now he's doing something. So I don't know, it's like the little things that bother me.
Yeah. And you mentioned that he's doing a lot of the work. Do you also do stuff around the house? Like, does he still let you, or is it you don't get?
He lets me do stuff around the house, but that gives me anxiety too sometimes because before it was like my job and he would expect me to do it, but now my new boyfriend doesn't expect me to do it. I just kind of do it, and it's like he's more appreciative, and I just don't want him to say anything to me because I know that I'm capable of doing these things.
Of course. And that's understandable that you're having that anxiety and feeling that it almost seems as if you feel like even though you do the task, that it's not going to be good enough because it never was enough. Has he ever shown that it wasn't good enough or like said anything, or has he always said he was appreciative of when you do stuff?
Yeah, he's appreciative and he wants to do more than me, but I want it to be 50-50. I don't want it to be equal, but I don't like when he comes home and he does everything and then it kind of makes it seem like I have nothing to do.
Okay, so I think during this we're going to work on some different assessment tools and ways that you can become aware of the anxiety, and that
sometimes I just start screaming at him, and punching walls and yelling for no reason just because he does something that I know he can do.
Okay, and so it seems that you're like, because of what your experience is, it's having that fear and you're kind of pushing it on this relationship, kind of what happened in the past. So what we want to work on is making sure that you are aware of like your past experiences, but like that they don't, and like so you become aware that so they don't affect your current. Does that sound like something you'd like to work on? Okay. So before we start the first assessment that I want to work on with you, I want you to briefly just tell me some symptoms you feel when you're having these anxiety moments, and like right before you start yelling or arguing with him.
It's kind of like my muscles get really, really tense, and I feel like muscle spasms kind of in a sense, and I start to like do like this, and like I start breathing really heavy, and I kind of get shortness of breath, and I feel like everything in my body just like working up. It's kind of like I feel like I'm turning into a monster or something. And I don't know.
Okay, so I think this assessment tool will definitely help with that, since you mentioned that it does affect your breathing, and when you're not breathing properly or getting that proper air, it does also affect how you're feeling. So when you're not getting proper breath, it can make it also worse on you. But something I want to focus on is this breathing technique that I want you to do. And I just want you to close your eyes And I want you to inhale through your nose for about 8 seconds, 6 to 8 seconds. But I want you during those moments just to focus on the air, like the sound of your breath and like you bringing it into your diaphragm and everything. So let's do that. So why don't you close your eyes and breathe in for about 6 to 8 seconds through your nose. And then I want you to then exhale for about 8 to 12 seconds. So just a nice slower. And I want you to do it one more time. And then exhale. So during those moments of like the anxiety, is it like your breathing increases or you just can't breathe? Like you're just...
Sometimes when I'm feeling really, really, really bad, I just can't breathe. Like I feel like kind of like almost an asthma attack. My chest starts I'm like almost like caving in, and it feels like really heavy in my chest. But sometimes it's just like
a
me
panting.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's understandable. And so this technique is going like when I want you to do this when you start feeling that anxiety, because also when you focus on the breath and like actually breathing in, you're not focusing on the small little thing that irritated you or whatever started, like whatever triggered your anxiety. It takes your focus off of that and also gives you a second to start breathing properly again and to get that normal breath, because then you're not going to be as tense or working up. Does that sound like something that would be useful?
Yeah, that sounds like something that'd be really useful, because sometimes I feel like I need to go to the hospital.
Yeah, it gets that
bad sometimes.
Okay, and that's definitely an understandable. It is common when triggers happen for not to be able to breathe, and hopefully this can help. And it's not always going to stop the anxiety attacks, but it will help sometimes with calming you down and getting it under control so you can become aware of the situation. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And also, so before we do the other assessment, I have one more that I want to focus on with you during this session. I want you to just, you've mentioned that he does help out more around the house than your previous relationship. I want you to, just for a few minutes, just list, the great things about this relationship that you either didn't experience in the last one, or that just aside from it, you just really appreciate or enjoy about being with your current boyfriend.
Well, I really, really, really like the fact that he actually does something. Like, my previous boyfriend didn't do anything around the house, and it was all just my responsibility. He just expected me to do it, and he wanted everything to be perfect. And in this relationship, he doesn't do that to me. He doesn't look down on me. He doesn't make me feel worthless. If I'm tired, then he'll help out. He makes sure that I'm okay. He takes care of me. He's very caring, very loving. We don't really argue, and when I start to feel anxiety, he's there to try to calm me down. He was also the one that suggested I come and talk to you. So he's very caring.
And you had mentioned earlier in the session too that you felt like you weren't ready to move in together yet.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know why you felt this way, but also did you ever put these concerns, speak with him about these concerns?
I felt this way because my previous relationship, I think all relationships are going to end the same way, and it's going to be the same. I'm going to end up having anxiety. He's not going to want to live with me, or I don't know, maybe I'll just make him so angry to the point where he doesn't want to live with me anymore. And it's just all my fault in every relationship. And I don't think that living with someone is a good idea for me, because my last relationship was really bad, and we ended up breaking our lease in the middle. So I told him in the beginning, I didn't explain to him why. I just told him I wasn't ready to move in, and he kept being pushy, and he kept telling me that it was going to be okay, we're going to be fine, we're not going to argue, we don't argue now. He just didn't listen to me, and he just kept being pushy, so I ended up going into this agreement with him, but I just know that it's going to end badly.
Okay, and Have you guys ever, like, when it comes to other disagreements or stuff, is it the same? Do you feel like he's pushy, or was it just with this topic that you felt overwhelmed whenever it came up and you didn't?
I think it was
going to
just
end badly.
I think it was just this topic because he's not pushy in other situations, but he just was ready for the next step, and I did not feel comfortable with this next step. So because he was ready, he wanted me to be ready, and he just was like, "We're doing it," and that's it.
Okay. And so you mentioned that you feel like all the relationships are going to come to the same conclusion. Did you ever feel this way prior to moving in, like with your relationship, or did you have confidence in it? Do you think that you have a healthy relationship with him?
I have a healthy relationship with him when we're not living together. But when we're living together, it's not healthy at all. And that's when I started to kind of go back to thinking that it's going to be just like the last one and our relationships are the same. But when we're not living together, everything's fine.
Okay, so this next assessment tool that we're going to work on is kind of just acknowledging your initial thoughts. And it seems that like when something's triggered, you just go back to that mindset of it's not going to work. It's going to end as like we had. So I want to work with you on like when you're having that situation, for you to become aware, so you can take a step back and like remind yourself that this like about the good things that are going on, and about like how this is not your previous relationship. Does that sound like something that could be useful in helping?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to describe like a situation. Okay. So you guys just finished dinner, and you're about to start cleaning up, and then he comes and he says, "No, I'll do it," and he starts taking the dishes. He throws all the food in the trash left over, cleans the dishes, and then takes the trash out.
This is giving me anxiety right now.
Yeah, it's already okay. So he comes back in, he takes everything's clean, and he lets you know that everything's done. What would be your reaction to that? Like, what would you say to?
I think I would just start to feel my body kind of getting anxiety, like I'm doing now.
Okay.
And
what's going through your head right now?
Why? Like, why did he have to do everything? Because I'm fully capable of doing things. Like, I don't get it. Why can't I help? Or why didn't you ask if I wanted to do something? Why did you just decide to do everything on your own?
So I want you to become aware of those thoughts. And instead of looking at it as like, why is he doing this? Maybe be like, well, that's, like he's doing it because he probably thinks, were you tired, or like,
Yeah, but even if I'm tired, I'm still capable of doing it.
Okay. So maybe just like let him know, but also not feel as if him doing something is him making you feel like you're not capable of it, but him just wanting to do it to make you happy. Does that sound like more why he would do it, as opposed to me trying to do it because he doesn't think you could do it?
Yeah.
Like like you said, you do the dishes and stuff in the past, so he knows that you have like been capable. So like I want you to think back to when I just was speaking and the initial thoughts you have were, why is he doing it? Why can't I do it? And I want you to now like think of like the good things that could be connected to it and become aware of it and be like, well, in the past your ex-boyfriend might have done it because he felt you couldn't do it, so maybe that's why you feel now that is. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds okay.
And do you feel like the assessments today will be helpful with working with your anxiety?
I think they'll be really helpful, especially the breathing one, and then the one about changing my mindset and thinking more positively. I think that can be really beneficial because sometimes I just think really negative, which affects my anxiety a lot.
Okay. And I definitely think with the homework that we're about to discuss, it'll help with all that too. So for next week, I do want you mentioned wanting to be more 50-50, and it gives you anxiety when he does things. So maybe sit with him this week. And you don't have to come up with a complete plan yet, but start coming up with a plan where you feel more comfortable being 50-50. And being open with him about how you feel like, as if you're, when you feel like you're not ready to be together,
Mm-hmm.
be open with him about it so that you guys are keeping that, because you said he does like to help. So instead of like when you feel that anxiety, maybe working with him so that you're not just getting upset.
Okay.
So do you think you can do that by next week?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll see you next week, okay?
See you next week.